everyone, it's MK
and Ellen.
Welcome back to MK Quilts and MK Quilts University. So today we have a new product alert. Ellen's going to cover it because it's kind of her thing, but I am here to help hold up some quilts. So Ellen, as I unfurl this, tell them what exactly you're going to be highlighting.
All right, so today we are highlighting the HuRTy Ruler. It is a ruler to make half rectangles, right? Not half squares, half rectangles. So I've got kind of a little mini trunk show, right, of all of these kind of quilts that I've made from just this one ruler.
Super
this
cute,
one's kind of
Ellen.
bigger and all. So these first two that Melissa has held up are from the designer Latifa Safir, that they are using her ruler. You can see they're kind of different sizes, but it is the exact same shape. This one is called the other side, and it's put it on point for the same shape.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
On point.
It's interesting. Very cool effect.
Yep.
Okay, well, I am going to step out of the frame, and Ellen is going to give you deets about the ruler and how to use it.
Yes. So with the HuRTy ruler, it is a dual-sided ruler. There are two sides happening with this ruler. And you're going to be making a bunch of half rectangles. Now, these runners on the table and these two quilts behind me are not patterns. They're just ones that I started playing with the shape, playing with color, and seeing what I could create. The three runners on the table and then this teal one all use the exact same size half rectangle. It's just all about color and placement. This one you can see they're a little bit smaller, but still about color and placement with the shapes. So with the half rectangle, it's going to come very similar to other ruler techniques. A wonderful little paper pamphlet that has all of your instructions right in it. So there are a bunch of sizes, and you can kind of see on the size of the ruler, I can go up to a 12-inch block. Now again, keep in mind that this is a half rectangle, so it's not 12-inch square. It's going to be 6 by 12 to get you a half rectangle. So with this, I'm going to show you how to cut with the half rectangle ruler, the HuRTy, so you can start to see how these shapes come into being. Depending on what size half rectangles you're making, it's going to then determine the strips that you're going to be working from. So in, again, a wonderful little pamphlet, there is a magic little grid that's going to tell you exactly the sizes that you need to cut to start with. This is a really great tool because it has you working oversized, and then you're actually going to trim down so your blocks will be perfect no matter what. Now, similar to other kind of cuttings and tools, you do need to work obviously from a straight strip of fabric and then no selvages. So I'm going to use this ruler to first just cut off selvage. And then with the ruler, and again, you can kind of look on the quilt behind me, there are A and B shapes. So as it kind of shows on the ruler itself, there's going to be an A side where you're going to see these black rectangles pointing in a certain direction. And then there's a B side where they're now pointing the opposite. That the half rectangles are actually mirrors of each other. So determining which one you need first decides what ruler side you're starting with. So for example, if I want to do A, I'm going to make sure I'm on an A start side of this ruler. And again, inside your pamphlet, it'll tell you exactly what you're measuring up, but basically I'm starting with my orange lines. That my orange lines are going to be my cut lines, and there's going to always be this magic little arrow. Now, this little arrow needs to always be on the edge of your fabric. No matter how wide this strip is when you started, that has to be on the edge, because as soon as you're ready to cut your next half rectangle, I'm going to flip the ruler. It's one of those magic flipping rulers. And as I come down, that arrow is again on the edge of the fabric. So it will always be on the top or the bottom edge, depending which one you're cutting. So you can see how quickly I was able to cut two of my A pieces. Now, for design aspect, you can imagine you're going to have a kind of background, and then you're going to have a print color, and that's where this fun's really going to come in. So I'm going to cut two A's on my background fabric. This fabric strip is the same width as the one I just cut, So I'm using the exact same measurements and lines to line up, flipping the ruler. So I now have 2A print pieces. So if I pair these guys together, you can see how those half rectangles are going to create. Now what's great with this, there was no crazy measuring where I had to like measure in a 1/2 inch on one side and like 3/8 on another and draw a line. There was nothing like that. There's no waste because I was able to cut both pieces with just flipping the ruler. So here, very easily, I was able to cut 2A pieces of my print and my background with them. And again, there is no waste. I didn't have to do any measuring of doing like a 1/2 inch and 3/8 and drawing line. Very quickly, I was able to use it with the lines on the ruler to create these shapes. Now, what's great with her ruler is it does make A and B pieces, but A's will always stay together and B's will always stay together. A's and B's never join up. You're going to have an A block or a B block from that. So once you have your actual triangle kind of wedges cut, you would sew them together. But something that some people have always had kind of difficulty with when you're doing a diagonal and an angle is where those line up, right? Think of those little dog ears or the magic bow tie that you may have seen in some directions where you have to be a magic 1/4 inch. This ruler takes care of that for you. That there is a magic little spot on this ruler. Let me get to the correct place. There's a magic little trim spot on this ruler to help you prevent any sort of dog ear confusion. Is that at the beginning, before I sew them together, is I am going to cut off that little tip. So that way, when I go to sew and put these right sides together like any sort of patchwork would, I now have absolutely perfect blunt edges that line up with themselves. You can go ahead and pin if you're a pinner, because there is a little bit of bias here, but as long as those blunt edges line up when you sew, your block is going to work for you. In terms of pressing, press to the dark side, doesn't matter which side that is. So I'm going to cut a B fabric. Now what's great with these shapes too is once you get comfortable is you can actually stack your fabrics and cut both at the same time. So I'm going to have my B kind of background, the light pink, and then a print, which is grunge, right sides up for both. Now before I was cutting A, I started on my A side. I'm not doing an A. I want to do a B. So I'm going to flip the ruler around to when I can now read B start, that I'm starting with the B side of the ruler. Now I'm going to be using the same measurements and the same lines. It's all about that I've started on the B side instead. Now, as I mentioned before, there are orange lines. I'm going to line the orange lines up with the edge of my fabric. That same arrow I was using before is still here. It's on the edge of the fabric. B, it just happens to be on the bottom at the first time. And you can see that this angle is already being created. There's my first wedge. And then just like before, it's a flipping motion. I'm going to flip it over, lining up that same orange line, that same arrow tip. And I now have 2 sets of B. So with this, I'd still go ahead and trim off those little dog ears with the magic trim, so that way they'll fit together perfectly. But I now am going to have mirrors of my A and B pieces. And again, mirror as in the print, the actual direction of that angle is going opposite directions. If you only do A's, you're going to get beautiful diagonal lines. But if you want to turn a corner, if you want to get a triangle in there, a diamond, you're going to need to add B's to your set. Now, as I mentioned, this is an oversized piece. That's what makes this ruler so great, is that you're working oversized, so you're going to trim it to make it absolutely perfect every single time. So I have some rectangles that do need trimming. This is a different set of fabric, but same idea, that there are A's and there are B's. So looking at here, we can see that we've got mirror images from them. And why it lets you do trimming is just in case you didn't line up absolutely perfect on those edges. If there's a little bit off, that's why you're going to trim down for the perfect shape. Now before, when I was cutting, I was using orange lines. Now I'm trimming, I'm going to use the black lines. All right, so based on the size of the block you are creating, you're going to line up that black line along the diagonal edge of your block. You're going to make sure you've got a little bit of fabric on the outside of both sides to make sure you fit the size of your block. I'm going to trim off the right and top. This now becomes an absolute perfect corner. So that's now my magic corner that I line up on the size of the block that I happen to be making. That black diagonal line still along that seam. So right and top. And I'm now going to have a perfect half rectangle. The B block is exactly the same method. You're just changing the direction of your angle. And I'm flipping the ruler because I had to do that at the beginning anyway. When I started with B's, I had to flip. So I'm still looking at that black diagonal line along the block. I can cut rights and rights. Flip the ruler over, line up that perfect corner I just cut with the size of the block I'm making. And now I have an A and B perfectly sized that can now be sewn together to create a plethora of designs.
Wow, Ellen, that was awesome.
It does a lot. It doesn't look like it, but it does a lot.
You made me want to do another project, and I don't have time for another project, Ellen.
I know, but it's such a fun shape. You can do so many things once you play with color.
And I can see why Ellen is drawn to this. The designer in her just sees the possibilities of combining A and B and colors and all of that.
Yes. So if you get one of the kits that, again, I taught this at the expo. So I have a couple kits left over. So if you purchase the kit, you'll get layout options.
Oh, nice.
Right? There's basic instructions that come with it, but the instructions are in the ruler, right?
So
it's in the ruler.
Learn the ruler, start cutting, understanding the angles, the A and the B, and then the sky's the limit.
Yes, yes. So she's got the two patterns that are giving you, fabric requirements, color placement, sort of things like that. These both have multiple sizes. It's kind of crazy how many sizes they have. So there are some full instructions if you need. But again, your main instruction is right here. This is how you use the ruler. This is just placement.
Well, I'm working on a project right now where I think I might be able to use that ruler.
Yes.
So can I take that home tonight, Ellen?
You may borrow it.
Thank you. All right, well, we are getting this video up for you like ASAP because we have the rulers ready to go. A couple of kits, you said, a couple of patterns left over.
I've got a couple of kits, and I've got a handful of patterns still, but only a couple of the kits if you want to make the runners that I had my class make.
All right, and we'll bring those back in so you can take a look at those. Go ahead and order up. They're live on the website right now.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ellen. Great job. And that's all we got for you today, everybody, from the classroom to you. Happy quilting. Bye-bye.
Bye.